Hello friends, Smogan here with another episode of Scrollscast. This episode featuring Darkwizard on the left, looking to be playing a Decay growth control deck. It looks to be the Samada Shift control deck versus Dialex on the right, who is playing a mono Decay deck. We'll see if Dialex is able to get in there quickly for some idle damage before Darkwizard's control deck takes over the board. Dialex does have, let's see, he's got a 3, 4, and 5 in his opening hand, so he decides to keep it. Pretty good curve for him. He, of course, doesn't know what his opponent is playing quite yet. Over to Darkwizard's side, and unfortunately can't see his cards this turn. There they are. Okay, good. He did sacrifice for growth that first turn. We'll have to decide now if he wants to go for the second growth for the quick sister of the fox, or if he wants to go into Decay to set up for wild. And it does look like he's going to start setting himself for wild, and I think that's the right way to start off with this deck. Dialex finds a tribesman for turn 2, so he sacrifices a scroll, tribesman out, and note the 3, the 4, and the 5, so he's got a very nice start, and at this point he does know what his opponent is playing against after seeing that Decay sacrifice. Wild comes down, sister of the fox is played, drawing a scroll, and passes the turn over. I would not be surprised if Darkwizard plays Return to Nature on his own sister of the fox next turn to get that free growth off of that. That would be a quick way to ramp up for him. Dialex responds, instead of the Rot Eater, plays out the Harvester and passes to Darkwizard, who has a second Return to Nature, as well as an Eye of Eagle. Languid comes out first, reducing the Tribesman attack to 0. Necrogeddon is sacrificed, Eye of Eagle played, no Return to Nature played out, so he's saving those for maybe a double Return to Nature play later in the game, rather than accelerating his growth immediately. Dialex has a Cursemonger on 4, and passes the turn back. Darkwizard finds Quake off the top. He'll probably want to hold on to that. Return to Nature Quake would be pretty darn good. Fertile Soil is phenomenal and draws him a bunch of scrolls off that sister. The Tribesman won't accomplish anything. Oblivion Seeker comes down, and the turn will go back over to Darkwizard. Dialex has established a strong board presence, but this is why control decks sometimes have a good shot in these games. Even when you have a great start with Decay, he's still done no idle damage. He's had something to play every turn and just hasn't been able to do any damage. Darkwizard did Samada Shift and found a Sister of the Fox. A lot of these shift decks play with no Sister of the Fox, just so that doesn't happen. Instead, that would bring out an Oblivion Seeker or a Kinfolk Veteran, but Darkwizard does have them and ends up just cantripping off the Samada and gets a little bit of idle damage in. Draining Mist in hand, Rat King as well, Seeker, and a Quake. Let's see, Quake does come down, so that weakens everything. So set up, he could Return to Nature right now, and that would take out both Oblivion Seekers. It would give Darkwizard a growth, but it would give Dialex 4 scrolls in his hand. So he does decide just to take out one of the Oblivion Seekers, and gives the turn back to Dialex, so he only drew a few cards off of that. Sacrifices Watcher, which will be actually really handy later in the game if he can get some idle damage done in the mid-game over the next 4 or 5 rounds. Another Oblivion Seeker comes down, Darkwizard's go. He has Draining Mist to slow down all of this attacking. Soul Steal as well, though he has to be careful. Though actually that Soul Steal would probably just come down on the Harvester, neutralizing that potential threat if he were to Soul Steal something else. Lots of removal in hand. Draining Mist comes down first, then Rat King behind that. And let's see where he maneuvers these rats. Does sacrifice for scrolls, gets rid of the Damning Curse, leaves the rats where they are, defending the 3 middle idols. Dialex has a Mire Shambler in hand, so that's kind of a cool addition to the deck. And I should have noticed he had one earlier as well. Let's see. Loyal Darkling, Harvester, what's he want to play out here? Just wants as much beef on the field as possible. Can only afford to play the Harvester and then a Loyal Darkling or a Shambler. He's got to be aware of more Quake plays, though. 1, 2, 3, 4, and currently the way things are set up, a Quake would trigger the second Harvester, which he would probably be okay with. So let's see if he decides to play out something else, or maybe he just languids something to cantrip. He splits his units out of double Return to Nature range, and languids on one of the rats just for the card draw, and passes it back to Darkwizard. Darkwizard finds a Kinfolk Veteran, takes out with a Soul Shift, a Soul Steal on the Harvester. Kinfolk Veteran comes down to kill the Oblivion Seeker, drawing Dialex a couple of scrolls, but neutralizing that threat from Darkwizard's point of view. And there comes the attack, back over to Dialex with a 3 countdown Harvester. So over the next few turns, what Dialex really needs to do is get some idle damage in. All of these units that Darkwizard has are designed to die and just to tank damage. He doesn't care about them at all. If he finds God Hand, then they're pretty useful for Darkwizard, but other than that, they're just there to block. That's all they're really there to do, block and be sacrificed to cards to draw some cards. So Dialex is thinking about how he can get past that defense and get some damage in. But Decay's units are pretty slow. There's no countdown reduction in this deck, so he's going to have to wait patiently for those units to count down naturally while trying to continue to build up his board. He's only on 5 resources. He'll need to go up to 6 this round. So he could play out that Witch Doctor, but that would cost him his Cursemonger, unless he plays the Witch Doctor in front, which you rarely want to do. So maybe what he'll do here is just play out a couple of Loyal Darklings, or a Loyal Darkling and a Blightbearer or something like that. He could go ahead and throw out the Watcher if he wanted to. Maybe Darkling Watcher, and just anticipate then if things die, at least he'll get some idle damage off of that. And it looks like he might be doing just that with that positioning. No, actually, he does go ahead and play the Witch Doctor in the middle, so it's touching everything. So he's okay with his Cursemonger dying here. Darkwizard finds the Halls of Umlasa, a centerpiece of this deck, so he'll draw an extra scroll out of his graveyard every turn, gets to reuse his best stuff over and over again if he chooses to, sacrifices for resources, and only has 1 card in hand, but will be getting plenty more next turn. Rats come in for a little bit of nibbling damage, take out the Cursemonger, spawning a Husk, and the Harvester's down to 2 countdown, so a Damning Curse from Dialex would trigger that Harvester. It would be pretty impressive too. But he does go ahead and Soul Steal the Veteran. So 1 countdown on the Harvester now. Could still Damning Curse, but maybe waiting on that. Plays out a Rot Eater. And will he kill rats or deal idle damage? He chooses to kill the Languided Rat, and no idle damage is dealt. 2 veterans and a Rat King in the graveyard. Rat King is selected by Darkwizard. Sacrifices 1, finds Necrogeddon, so he can Rat King Necro, not this turn, but next turn if he chooses. That Damning Curse comes in, so that does trigger the Harvester, but takes out the Witch Doctor. Note that the Rot Eater goes up to 4 and 4. And Harvester will get a big attack off, so this is great for Dialex. He can choose to either kill the 4th idol, or probably what I would do is just deal 8 damage to one of these idols, and that's what he's going to do. That puts it at 2 health, which is of course critical for Loyal Darkling sacrifices or for Watcher damage. So that idol is basically as good as dead at this point. Darkling comes down on the 4th idol as well. So Dialex really has established a very strong ball of units, and Darkwizard needs to find a way to get through that ball and take them all out. Rat King Necro would be 15 damage coming in this turn, which is pretty darn relevant. And it looks like maybe that's what he's going to do. But because of the Witch Doctor, it's actually only going to kill 1, 2, 3 units. 3 real units. It's going to kill 2 husks as well, and that might actually even trigger the Harvester again. And that's only if he sacrifices up for another Decay. Let's see if this is what he's going to do. It looks like he is. Here comes the Necro. Triggers the Harvester, which he's not going to be able to get back to deal damage to. Got to think about his husk positioning. He can't really do anything but kill these frontline units that are designed to die. Currently, he's set to kill those 3 and 2 husks, so that's exactly what he's going to do. So it does soften Dialex's defenses for now. He'll need to get some more units up there to defend, but, well, that's another Harvester triggered, and that's really, really critical for Dialex right now. And of course, that Rot Eater's ready to attack as well. A couple more units attacking. This is a ton of damage coming in for Dialex. So that play by Darkwizard, I don't know if he really had any alternatives, but it really pushed the advantage in favor of Dialex, I think, especially if he can follow up with a strong play on this round. He does have Harvester in hand, Loyal Darkling if he wants it. Another Harvester is played out. Looks like he's positioning just to kill as many of these husks as possible, which is important because you don't want your Samata Shift opponent to be able to use Halls of Umlasa to draw that Necrogeddon again and attack with all those husks again. That's what you really want to avoid. So it looks like he is positioning to kill off as many of those husks as possible, and I think he's going to get all of them with the way he's positioned. And he's also able to go up to 9 resources, play out a Cursemonger, and the Loyal Darkling to go with the Harvester. So an idol drops, all of the husks drop, and note that his freshly played Harvester is on 0 countdown again. Very nicely done by Dialex. Necrogeddon 2 Languids in the grave. He chooses the Necrogeddon. Has Draining Mist, which will probably come down. Rats will come down as well. Good for mucking up that defense. Can't afford, unless he sacrifices the Necrogeddon, to play Oblivion Seeker and Draining Mist. But it looks like he actually sacrificed the Draining Mist, and he wants to Necrogeddon again, so that will kill the Witch Doctor, but both Harvesters are triggered, and I think that even though that's not going to win the game this turn for Dialex, that's going to put 2 idols at 2 health, and you know what that means with Loyal Darklings and Watchers. Those idols are as good as dead. I don't know that Darkwizard can recover from that. I don't think he can win the game fast enough to overcome all that damage. Dialex is moving to deal that idol damage. Soul Shift comes down. Loyal Darkling's ready to take out the bottom idol as soon as next turn. Watcher in hand still as well. Ripper and Blightbearer will come down right away. Actually, he plays the Watcher instead. So here comes that damage. Down to 2. Down to 2. Good luck, Darkwizard. You need to end the game now. And I don't think you got 30 idol damage in your hand. He can Oblivion Seeker Fertile Soil, which is phenomenal card advantage, but it's not going to be enough. He is just unable to turn all those cards into damage yet. Yeah, there's the Fertile Soil. Lots more great scrolls in hand. This is a very strong deck, but just needs mass removal and can't quite find it. Needed a bunch of Quakes, and even Quake isn't anywhere near enough with an 8/8 Rot Eater bearing down on him. So he's just trying to defend 2 idols as best he can. Loyal Darkling will kill off the bottom one, unless, well, he could do it. Yeah, he does go ahead and pop it, and lets the attack come in, and that will be game. Well done, Dialex, able to overcome the Samata Shift matchup. Let it be known that the deck can be beaten. It is vulnerable. Dialex showed us how to do it. So this has been Smokin' with Scrollscast. Thanks for watching, and go play yourself some Scrolls.